Oh, yeah, is it working? Yeah, it's working now. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and I do declare that we have a quorum as per our Open Meetings Act. And with that being said, what's her name? What's that lady's name? Sammy, could you lead us in the invocation? Do you mind? We all stand, please.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessings that you've given to us, and Lord, we thank you for the us as we have this meeting, that we may always be here to serve the citizens of Freeport and help us in every way that you can. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Next item is citizens' comment. Do we have any comments? Nobody turned anything in? No? Good. Okay. So with that being said, regular sessions, consider and take possible action to approve the minutes from October 26, 2023.
I move we accept the minutes as read.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, and at this point, at time is it? 6:02. I'm going to open the open public hearing. Consider and take possible action on the dangerous structure at 411 Selfish Lane, boat docks, seawalls, bulkhead, pave area, bathhouse, and transformer communications building. The legal description is Bridge Harbor replat A0051, Division 8, B, C1C, Freeport, Lot Reserve, PTA, Boat Basin, 2,200X, acres, 11.189, ID is 193507. Discussion.
We need to discuss this or in open session, because if we're in public comment section, we can't make a motion.
We can move to put it in executive session to discuss it.
While you're in the public hearing, can you?
Yeah. Okay, well, do I have any discussion on this at this point? No? Okay. Well, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and action taken would be?
We're gonna make a motion to move this to the executive session.
All in favor?
I'll second.
I second it, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 3. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:04. Consider and take possible action on the derailed plan for the work to be done on the wall at 226 West Park, Freeport. Block 44, Lot 15, 5'10", Lot 1617, property ID 20923. Also discuss the barrier being used, not being in compliance. Discussion. Yes, sir, Mr. Duncan.
Good evening. My name is Chris Duncan. I'm here on behalf of the owner of property for item 3, Jeff Pena. Previously, the Board of Adjustments made a ruling on that on this matter, found that it was an unsafe situation, and that order that was issued by the Board of Adjustment was appealed to county court. Because it's pending appeal, I would assert that y'all can't take any further action until you seek the resolution of the appeal with the county court. I talked to Olson, David Olson, about it. He said that he didn't know that it was on the agenda tonight and wasn't notified to come and be here today, so that there's nobody from Olson and Olson that's going to be here at the meeting tonight. But he said he didn't realize that it had been put on the agenda and didn't know anything about it. But I would just say that because the appeal was made, it was made within the time, 10 days, made in a timely manner, that the jurisdiction on that matter just lies with the county court pending their resolution of the prior order. So I would say that the matter should be tabled until the resolution with the county court, and that y'all can, I guess, talk to Mr. Olson about that and verify that it is, y'all don't have jurisdiction until the county court action is resolved. Like I said, I talked to him about it. I called him and talked to him again this afternoon. He just said he didn't realize it was on the agenda tonight, so that's why they didn't ask him to be here at the meeting tonight. That's why nobody's here from Olson and Olson tonight.
When did he file the appeal?
Within 10 days of y'all's order whenever y'all had the previous hearing.
Why didn't we hear anything about that?
That was
Sorry?
in October.
Why haven't we not heard anything about that?
I don't know. I would ask Mr. Olson, find out why. He's y'all's attorney, so I don't know.
This is not good.
Don't know if y'all have any other questions.
I got a quick question, just because I need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's to you or to anybody else here. Who was supposed to notify Olson? Is it my responsibility, Kenny's responsibility? Whose responsibility is it to notify our attorney for something like this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, previously I would attend all the Board of Adjustment meetings, right, as the city attorney, but they may have a different arrangement that they only come when requested, right, for billing purposes or whatever, maybe.
Lance, did you know anything about the appeal?
No, sir.
You guys didn't know anything either? No. We'll talk offline, because I got an issue that I need to discuss with you guys, somebody.
So we're just gonna take Chris's word for it.
Well, there you go. I just feel that, yeah, that's his word, and that's what he's saying, but we don't have anything to back it up either, no documentation, no notification, no nothing. Did you send the notification to the city?
I can give you all a copy of you can look on the website, the county website to verify it, or I can give you, file marked copy showing when it was filed, but it's filed long ago within the 10 days of y'all's hearing.
I don't. I guess we're gonna have to take his word for it. Yes, can I, go ahead, Mr. Rayna. You have to fill out one of those things. Tap it on front.
Here, I got you.
Chino, don't do that.
Testing.
There you go.
My name is Sam Reina, and I reside in 2002 North 70G. Have you got David Olson's phone number?
Who?
David Olson?
We
Lance?
don't. Lance,
Yes, sir.
Could you give him a call?
that's,
I'm looking right here, and it was filed a month after. It was not, sir.
I would suggest you all contact David Olson and make a decision.
well, yeah, I am, one of us is gonna contact him, that's for
Okay.
sure.
Okay,
There's no
thank you.
doubt about it. And I guess we'll go from there. Do we have to table this item? I would think, since we don't have the proper documentation or information or notifications or whatever they did. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing, and we're gonna take action on 226 West Park. I'm gonna open now the public hearing. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion to table it to,
Table,
yeah.
I'll second.
okay. Kenny. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So now we're on item number 4, consider and take action at 215 East Park, Freeport, Block 31, Lot 4, 5, Parcel 209224. The owner, Sandra Woodwicky, and tenant Chris Duncan failed to pull building permits for repairs on the roof on the old theater. Discussion.
I'll go first. Okay. All right, so when we were here previously, I remember that at that time, I had a contract with the issue is to repair the roof. The remaining issue is to repair the roof. I had a contract with a roof repair company out of Alvin. They use engineering company in Angleton. And so I said, okay, let's go. They talked to the folks at Angleton. The engineering is a reputable engineering company. They looked at the requirements from the city, and they said they didn't want to deal with the city of Freeport, and they refused to do the engineering, and so my contractor couldn't do the work because we didn't have the engineering. I then went to an engineer and windstorm guy in Lake Jackson. He said he didn't do work in Freeport. He didn't want to deal with the folks in Freeport because he said they were not reasonable. And however, I offered to pay him, kind of begged him to help me out, and paid a fee for his trouble, I guess you'd say. And so we signed an agreement. He filed the WP1 windstorm certificate that you first do to start if you're going to do a windstorm project, because you first send in the form to the state, then you get a windstorm engineer, a windstorm inspector, and Ms. Roman wanted us to get an engineer to not rely on the city's engineering. You know, the last time y'all were here, the city hired an engineer to review it and made a report. So I said, can we follow the recommendations in that report? She said, no, we have to get our own engineer report, and they've got to engineer the whole roof, not just the spot that needs to be repaired, because it's about 3 panels of sheet metal that needs to be repaired. So I talked to Tom, the guy in Lake Jackson. He contacted Ms. Roman, talked to the city about what we needed to do, and then he called me back. He said, they're unreasonable, I don't want to deal with them, and he gave me my money back, and he said, I'm not going to mess with Freeport because they're being unreasonable, they're not doing things the way they should be done. So then I was in I just want to get the roof fixed. So, and it turns out that the WP1 form that the guy and the engineer in Lake Jackson, he filed it, you file it with the state. And so I filed my building permit, everything, application, I'm thinking everything's good. And then he said, no, here's your money back, I'm not doing it. And then the folks at Freeport said that he pulled it off the state. They can see where he filed it with the state, and then he pulled it off because he's not doing the work anymore. So, so then I looked around, talked to some people. I found an engineer in Houston that was willing to come down because they have to come down and view everything in person. And so the engineer came down, he toured the whole thing, inspected the whole thing. He did engineering drawings, stamped engineering drawings, instruction of exactly how it has to be repaired. And just whenever I was in college, I worked construction contracting quite a bit to pay for college and pay to go to school. And also I built metal roofs before. And so the key thing is you need to have the right type of metal that's approved. The state approves certain company, brand, qualified metal that you have to use. You have to use the right fasteners, which are little screws with the little plastic rubber grommets, right? You have to do it in the right number of screws and then have the sealant, right? So the engineer wrote all those procedures down in writing, said step by step, this is what you have to do. And so he prepared that. I filed the engineer report, the instructions. He did the new WP1, filed the windstorm with the state. I filed the application, and then I was told that I cannot get a building permit unless I have a contractor's bond. And so if you, I have here, the city gave me the ordinance, and it said that, said basically, let me pull it up real quick. Every contractor doing any work covered by the various construction codes, so International Building Code, Maintenance Code, whatever. So if you're a contractor and you're doing work covered by the construction code, by the International Building Code and stuff, so forth, that's been adopted by this chapter, you must maintain on file with the building official at all times when working in the city a contractor's bond in the amount of at least $5,000 on a form approved by the State Board of Insurance. So it's if you're a contractor and you're doing work that requires a building permit, you have to have a contractor's bond. Well, I said, well, I'm not a contractor. I'm the tenant, right? So the owner, whenever I sign the lease, I'm in the same shoes as the owner. I have possession, in our lease it says specifically I have permission to do any renovations to prevent it from getting condemned and torn down, because that's the only reason I got involved in this thing, to prevent it from getting torn down. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to put the sheet metal up there myself. I'm not hiring a contractor. I'm not getting a subcontractor. I'm not a general contractor. I'm the same as an owner, right? I'm sitting in the shoes as the owner. And they said, no, well, you still have to get a contractor bond. So I said, well, look, all through our code of ordinances, it has definition for contractor, owner, tenant, and operator. I think operator is specifically for some water stuff, something different. But they're all different hats, different people. And I'm owner or tenant, I'm not contractor. So in January, I talked to Lance. He said they're going to send it to Olson & Olson, let them look at it and see if I'm considered a contractor and should get a contractor bond. So then April 5th, I think, it was a Friday. Lance called me about 8:30 in the morning. He said, hey, we heard back from Olson, and they said, you have to get a contractor bond. And so I'm like, well, it was sitting there without any response from January till April, didn't know what I need to do. And then Lance said, do you want me to put it in front of the Board of Adjustments to contest it? I said, well, no, don't do that. Can Olson give me something in writing saying, hey, you need a contractor bond and this is the reason, so I can understand how they came to that conclusion, because I don't understand that. And he said, yeah, he could ask them. That shouldn't be a problem. Well, I didn't get anything, and then it just showed up in front of the Board of Adjustments, so that's where I am here today. Now, if that phrase that says any contractor doing work has to get a contractor bond, and if that means an owner or a tenant is included in that, that would mean that every person that fixes their fence at their house, because that's covered by the building code, any person that buys a shed at Lowe's and puts it up in their backyard, everybody would have to get a contractor bond if that's how they say the rule works, because I'm in the same shoes as an owner. So, this section doesn't say anything about residential or versus commercial. It just says if you're a contractor in the contractor business, you got to get a contractor bond. And they've decided that that applies to me, which I disagree with. Now, I did, because, and I've told you all this before, Ms. Woodwicky didn't have the means to fix up the building, and I didn't want to see it torn down because it's a historical building. So I'm just here spending my money to prevent it from getting torn down. I'm not making money out of this thing. And, I've got a pump in there right now, automatic pump, so when it rains, because there's a big hole, there's been a big hole there for years. I don't know how long there's been a big hole there, but now that I'm involved, I got a pump in there. So when it rains, I'm pumping the water out, right? Also, trying to prepare for the future, I've had a plumbing company come in and inspect and go through the plumbing, because I need to know where the plumbing is and where it's going and what's going on. I had an electrician come in, take a look, because they got so many different electrical boxes and stuff, I can't figure out heads or tails what goes to where, right? And so I've done some preparation for me to be able to do more stuff. But, you know, if I can't even get a building permit to fix the hole in the roof, and here we are since September, I'm not optimistic I'm going to be able to fix electrical or the plumbing or anything else. I mean, it's just like every step is a struggle. And I'm just here giving my time and money to fix it. Just enough so it doesn't get torn down. I don't think I'll be able to fix it, and, you know, I'd like to fix it and, you know, open up and let it be used. But step number one is I got to make sure y'all don't order it torn down. And so I talked to an insurance company. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to get a contractor bond? You know, I got the form. In the form, it says, how long have you been in the contractor construction business? Tell us all your prior construction contracts that you've done successfully in the past. You know, it's just a form. Give us your corporation. Show us your profit loss of operating your contractor business. A contractor bond is for a contractor that charges money to do work for other people. I think it's kind of common sense. That's what people think a contractor bond is. So I don't even know, if I fill out that form, if I'll be able to get a contractor bond, because I'm not in the contractor business. And that's why I don't think that this requirement applies to me. I would just like to, you know, get a permit, because it's windstorm. Anybody that's dealt with windstorm, you know, the way it works is you can't just build it and then have the guy come inspect it when it's done. The engineer, the guy that's doing my windstorm, is also a full engineer, not just a windstorm inspector. He's got to be there and monitor the work and make sure it's being done step by step properly, or you don't get the windstorm certificate, right? Because they have to see everything that's being done. It has to be exposed. You can't just build it and they come in after the fact. So there's no concern that, okay, this roof is not going to be put on correctly, because if it's not, the inspector that's there watching will say, hey, that's not right. If you want me to give you a windstorm certificate, you got to do X, Y, Z. And he's given me written instructions. So that's why we're here. So if I haven't had a contractor, you know, fix it, it's because I had two different folks that I hired and paid, and then they gave me money back, said, we don't want to deal with Freeport. And now I've already had to pay 4 times the amount of what the local guys pay. I had to pay the engineer from Houston 4 times as much to come down, because I couldn't find a local person to do it. And, you know, I just don't want to, if I'm doing this, that's fine. And I'm not asking for any special treatment, right? I guarantee you, nobody else has had to get a contractor bond to do work if they're the owner or the tenant of a building here in Freeport. And if they did, they shouldn't have, because that's not what the rule means. So anyway, whatever y'all decide, I mean, that's fine. I can try to get a contractor bond, but I just don't know if that will happen. And if that's the case, then, you know, I don't, you know, everybody here's time is valuable. Y'all are here, you know, y'all have regular day jobs. My time is valuable to go and try to fix this and prevent this building from getting torn down. And if I have to spend so much time jumping through so many hoops and spend so much more money to hire a guy from Houston because nobody local wants to deal with it and so forth, you know, at some point I will just say, okay, somebody else fix it. Y'all tear it down, or somebody, because nobody else is stepping up to do it, last I checked, right? If somebody else wants to come in and say, hey, we'll put our time and money and we'll fix it with no payoff at the end, because there's really not going to be a payoff. You know how many empty buildings there are downtown now, right? There's no pot of gold in fixing this building. You know, I'll say, fine, y'all, somebody else take care of it. So that's where I stand. And I think that, you know, Sandra, Mr. Colvin, his attorney, represent Ms. Woodwicky, and he's here, and we've talked about it. He may want to say a few things also, but if y'all have questions, I'll answer questions.
Well, quick question for you, Chris, is, do you feel you're qualified to go and put that tin or whatever the heck that you're talking about putting on that roof? I mean, do you feel like you're qualified?
Yes, ma'am, I've done it before as a job, and like I said, the engineer will be there watching me, or I'm not going to get a windstorm certificate. So the engineer has to monitor and inspect as you're doing it before he will give a windstorm certificate. But the other thing is, you know, I don't know if I'll find somebody else to do it, because I've already had 2 different people and they turned me down. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do it myself, because it's already costing me more money. You know, I could have fixed the roof with the original contractor for what I end up having to pay this engineer to do full, re-engineer the whole roof and do full, you know, stamped blueprint drawings to fix a hole in the roof that was already previously certified. I mean, that roof was already inspected when it was put up, and it's only been there like 15 years or something like that, right? So there's nothing wrong with the way that the roof is put together. What happened is some of the pieces of tin blew off, and that was probably because they didn't put the seal in, they didn't put the screws the way they should have, but anyway, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Again, I'm Doug Colvin, and I do represent Senator Woodwicky. It seems like there's been a communication breakdown all over this place, and I don't know the cause. It's really irrelevant as to what the cause is. Last time we got to meet with you guys, we told you that we were going to give you proof of due diligence. That's where I remember it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not blaming anybody. I didn't have notice of the hearing, and everything else doesn't matter of the last order. I just remember what we discussed, and you guys remember it too.
Yep.
And that was twofold. Number one, get that roof in some areas so it doesn't allow the critters or outside interests or anything else like that that makes it a nuisance. Just put something over it. And then number two, show us that you've used due diligence to try to get this thing repaired so that we don't have to condemn it and tear it down. And based on what Chris has shown us, I think he has used the due diligence to do it. The biggest overarching issue, it hasn't. Now, it hasn't been done. So the reason why, really, I think is irrelevant. What I'm asking is because there's some outside, I believe, stopgaps in place that may be preventing our tenant from getting a permit. And if that's the case, I want to offer and be kind of the peacemaker in this deal. And if Ms. Woodwicky needs to apply for these permits as the owner, we'll certainly do that. Because I don't want it coming down, well, it's Freeport doing this, and it's Duncan doing this, and it's because we don't like each other, or whatever the excuses are. I want to assure this board that if Freeport says the owner can do it, we're not going to hear from the tenant regardless of what your contract says. I'm telling this board is we will see that Ms. Woodwicky applies for whatever permits to meet whatever standards this board sets out for us if you'll give us some more time. And I know in these last 3 or 4 months since we did last meet, there's been a lot of fruit basket turnover here. But let's put it all behind us. And again, I think that Duncan's efforts have shown that we have used diligence. There just has been something that's prevented us from doing it. I want to do whatever Freeport says I have to do in order to get it done so that I can reach some kind of approval from you. Because without any building permit, apparently we can't even close that roof. So that's kind of where we stand as the owner. We want to see this project done. We just need to know what approval and from whom we get it. Because we're standing ready to get this thing done. It's just that who needs to do it? And if Freeport is requiring the owner to do it, then that's what we'll do.
I don't understand the problem with having a roofer fix the roof, because there's roofs fixed in this county, in this city, every day.
Yes, sir, and I think that's what Mr. Duncan was alluding to. Hey, nobody else is required to get a building permit to patch the roof or fix the roof.
No, they all get building permits, that's why I don't.
I'll tell you the reason, because I'm not gonna pay a roofer when I had to pay 4 times the amount to get an engineer.
Well, then that's a different story there,
Right.
Chris.
Because, and so I'm like, well, I have to spend all that extra money, and I've had people pull out and give me my money back, and I feel like I'm getting the runaround. So I'm like, okay, then I'll just fix it myself, and I'm qualified. I mean, maybe you don't know how to turn a hammer, but I do. I can do
Well, I've
it.
been in the construction business for 45 years.
I know, so why are you
know?
questioning me? I can do it.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
okay.
you.
And again, this is what I mean about getting sideways, and
What?
I want to make sure that the contractual relationship that I, representing the owner, has with our tenant doesn't, and this is not a legal word, but doesn't put the kibosh on the efforts to try to repair this thing for the city in itself and for the owner. And if, for whatever reasons there are that people are getting sideways with Duncan and my tenant, well, I'll just call him my tenant, whatever we have getting sideways, whether it be with the board, whether it be with the city, I want to make sure that that doesn't hinder this building being repaired. And that's what I'm saying. I want to be the peacemaker here and step in, and you guys tell me what I need to do as representative of the owner. And if you want us to take the wheel, so to speak, and do all the applications, or tell us what we need and what will satisfy the city, I'm on board, and we'll cut the tenant out of the loop.
Should be between you, Ms. Woodwicky, and Mr. Duncan.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any thoughts? No comments?
I'm in agreement. It should have been.
Can you
between
turn
the
your
three
thing
of
on?
'em. Yeah. No, I'm in agreement. I think it should have been between the three of them.
Yeah.
And moving forward with that decision.
And so just
And,
in
and then the fact that Chris says he's not gonna hire an engineer or whatever, that's it, I mean, why? Everybody else has to. Why does he feel like he doesn't have to just because he can hammer stuff in? Guess what? I can do that too.
And so, just in defense of the owner, I would like to say I didn't have notice that the permit request had been sitting on there. And again, communication breakdown between the tenant and the owner. I understand that. But I, in fairness to Ms. Woodwicky, did not get any kind of notice that there's been a permit applied for and that it's set unresolved until about 2 weeks ago. And now it's appointed too late. And so what I'm appealing to this board is to say, okay, wait, let's step back. And because it was a communication breakdown, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, we'll now take the ball if you'll give us another, and I know you guys have been more than reasonable in your time with us, but if you'll let us advance that ball ourselves, we'll do it.
How much more time do you think you need to do that?
I'm thinking that we can get it done inside of a month if we'll, so
I'm willing to
we'll
go on.
do it. Ms. Woodwicky and I will work out the intricacies, so if you'll give us another month to at least apply for this permit and get started, we'll do whatever Freeport tells us to do, because we don't want to see the building go away.
Yeah, you can
Oh.
just use the papers that I filed already. I have the engineer, I have the drawings, I have
Have you
everything.
provided all that stuff
Yes.
to the city?
With my application, yes, ma'am.
They have it? Do
They
y'all
have
have
all of
it?
that with the
You guys,
application.
somebody?
I have received the application, all the engineered drawings for it. The only thing that I am missing is the insurance or the bond.
Right, which they don't know, which you want to know why. Okay, nobody else has their permit sitting for 3 months. We're waiting to find out from Olson, right? And,
again,
and,
I don't want to get sideways and off in the weeds in this thing. The city has told us what you need.
Mhm.
If you'll be
That's all.
graceful enough, we already have the permit in place, we'll take it, and by will, I mean me and Ms. Woodwicky will take care of it. We'll provide you with whatever you're needing, and we won't have the argument about, well, we're an owner. No, we're not an owner. I don't care. If Freeport is saying this is all you need, we'll get it to you, if you'll be gracious enough to get us another month.
Anybody willing? I don't have a problem with them getting another month to do it. You know, the main thing is, what I'm hearing here is the communication sucks. It's been horrible, because I know I personally, I'm the chairperson, and I'm in the dark.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm
Right.
sorry.
And we'll get, and again, I'll make sure I get with
You
the
know?
new city personnel so that all of us are in the loop. Even I'm made aware of any orders that come from this board, because I have nothing since, I think, August or September of last year. And so, like I said, I know there was a whole lot of deal. I'm not placing blame on anybody. If nothing else, I just want to, again, offer an olive branch. We'll get with the city. Everybody will be on the same page. We're going to use Chris's application. If Ms. Woodwicky has to sign it, or I have to sign it on behalf of her, we certainly will, but we're going to get you your stuff.
I just want to reiterate here, as in terms of what we have in terms of our ordinances, this is a commercial downtown building.
Yes, ma'am.
So in order for a homeowner or somebody, like he was stating, to pull their own permit, it would have to fall under homestead.
Fair enough.
So this, as in terms of him, he would still have to provide me some type of bond or.
And like I said, I didn't want to get off in the weeds as to if we qualify or not. If you're saying, look, it'll be passed, you just get me what we need, either insurance or a bond, we got it, if you give us 30 days.
I personally would like to give you my card.
Yes, ma'am, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, please. And if you have any issues or any concerns or something that you're not getting done within the month that's going to impede you, getting what you need to do within, please contact me,
Yes, ma'am,
please.
I will do that.
So you're going to have, so anybody? I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:34. And I'm open for take action on the 215 East Park.
I think we should ask them to follow through with the permit, give them the permit, and give them the 30 days to get it all lined out.
Kenny seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, with that being said, I guess we're going to go into executive session, so at this time, I know it's not on here, but we need to really discuss that first item. So if y'all could leave, and so we can discuss what we need to discuss, please. Thank you.